Aid groups say they are extremely worried about what they're calling the nightmare situation of civilians trapped in the fierce fighting in northern Sri Lanka. But a Sri Lankan ministry official has insisted that there's no humanitarian crisis. The Sri Lankan ambassador to the UN, HMGS Palihakara, joins me now from New York. And Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us here in CNN today. And please tell us, what is the Sri Lankan government doing to protect the civilians who are trapped in the fighting in northern Sri Lanka?
First of all, the government is deeply concerned about the plight of these civilians, and in fact, for that reason, government has, with the assistance of the UN, appealed to the Tamil Tigers, the LTTE, to let these people move to safer areas. In fact, a few days ago, the government was able, with the assistance of the UN, to ferry 250 odd people into safer areas. In addition, government has also declared a safe area into which these people can go, and armed forces are under explicit instructions. And in fact, they have confirmed that even though LTT is firing from behind civilian lines, they are not returning fire. And in addition, government plans to send in more assistance, food and medical supplies into these areas.
I'm sorry, more on that point. Are you saying that you will allow aid organizations to gain access into the war zone to assist people there?
Actually, the aid organizations are there. ICRC is already there, Caritas is there, and the UN regularly gets windows of access working with the armed forces. In fact, only a few days ago, the last convoy of supplies went in, and the armed forces and the agencies are working on a next window.
Okay, you're saying that aid agencies like the ICRC are working in the war zone area. It was my understanding that they had been barred from going to the conflict zone. But moving on, journalists, I do know, are barred from entering the war zone to cover the facts on the ground. When is that situation going to change?
First point about ICRC is there. I can confirm that. In fact, ICRC has been reporting some unfortunate incidents of shell fire, and we are very thankful to them. And the journalists are, of course, taken to areas when the security situation permits. In fact, the BBC and several other Reuters and other journalists were taken to the town of Mullaitivu some time ago. In fact, day before yesterday, one news agency reported from the frontline area. I think it was Al Jazeera, and our forces don't have the practice of embedded reporting, because in that kind of counter-insurgency operations, I don't think they have the facility. But whenever the security situation permits, journalists are taken.
Now, a hospital was shelled over the weekend, killing a number of civilians. Is there an investigation being conducted by the government to find out what happened? For example, we don't know who is responsible for the shelling. Could it be the Sri Lankan government, the Sri Lankan military?
The military spokesman has categorically stated that they know the coordinates of the hospital, that they have not fired, and fired even when fired upon by the LTTE. In fact, the respected Bishop of Jaffna had asked the LTTE to remove their heavy weapons from the safe areas and not to fire from that area. And certainly there will be an investigation. And in fact, we hope that the ICRC and others who are present there will help us in assisting in that investigation.
Because journalists are still barred from going into northern Sri Lanka where the fighting is taking place, we have to rely on the work of NGOs or even material provided by the Sri Lankan government to just get a sense of what's happening on the ground there. We've been airing video that was given to us by an NGO that's affiliated to the Tamil Tiger rebels of the civilian suffering there. This is footage from that video that was offered to us from that organization. You have also put forward some photos that you say also documents what's happening on the ground. Can you walk us through the images that you want to share with us?
Yes, certainly the video you have shown, they are certainly disturbing photography, and in fact, as your own correspondent mentioned, these are dated videos. It's not clear under what circumstances the video has been produced. As you said, it was produced by an organization called the Tamil Rehabilitation Organization. It is banned in several countries as a front organization for the LTTE.
Just yesterday, the Sri Lankan president said that the army was on the verge of crushing the rebels after more than 20 years of war. So it seems that the rebels are very weakened at this point. What are your thoughts about when this conflict is going to end?
I hope sooner than later, because the people, especially the Tamil people, have suffered immensely especially under the LTTE oppression, and they are now confined into an area of about 300 square kilometers, whereas earlier they were controlling around 10 to 11,000 kilometers, and our forces have been able to clear this area without up to recently without any major civilian and other collateral damage compared to other theaters of conflict where counter-insurgency operations are on. So we hope that this activity will be over and the government will be able to launch into a political process.